Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner, and it is another wrap-up with nothing finished. So first, I want to actually talk about something that's sort of book-related. It's basically about an adaptation of a book. So, I had mentioned back at the beginning of January, or the second week, I think, of January, that I got It Chapter 2 on Blu-ray. So I watched this one first by itself, just this one, and then I decided to go and watch Chapter 1, and I finished up Chapter 2 last night. So, what I want to do is, now that I have these, I want to compare and contrast it to this version. This is the miniseries version from 1990. And basically just talk about which one I like better. Although what I would really like to do is do a video where I can do something like, you know how in entertainment magazines, like People, they always will do this, compare if two celebrities wear the same outfit or a very similar outfit, they like who wore it better. Well, I want to do a who told it better with this movie, like comparing it to the who told the book better. But the problem is I will take forever to read a book that size. Even though I've already read it once before, I'm still not used to like sticking to a book that long, and it is over 1,000 pages. It might be even longer than Gone with the Wind. Although I don't know if it's longer than his book The Stand, or if it's longer than Needful Things. Well, actually, I think Needful Things is shorter than both of those. I'll have to double check that. So, ideally, yes, I would like to do that, but I don't think I could ideally finish the book and then compare. But I would love to do. That's what I would want to do. I would want to compare these to the book, and again, see which one did it better. But I do remember a lot, surprisingly, from the book. But I think that also stems from being part of Stephen King groups on Facebook and hearing people talk about the book. And now there are some cases where I probably remembered certain details because they stood out to me, like the opening chapter in the book, which they include in the movie. It's not in the miniseries, because I feel like in the miniseries, since it was a made-for-TV movie, it was a family. It was supposed to be something that, at least, family, maybe not, obviously not little kids because it's a horror film, but something that teenagers, they would be okay with, parents would be okay with young teens watching it. Because ABC when they put movies on TV, they want it, I think at the time they wanted it to be something that you could watch with your teenage kids. Of course, nowadays kids watch this kind of stuff all the time. But and looking back on it, it's not that, it's creepy. It has a creepy atmosphere, but I mean, compared to these, in my opinion, because I know there are some people there. To me, because of my opinion, I do think it's a little weird when people say, oh, this wasn't that scary. And I'm thinking, really? To me it was. And, more annoying part that is immature and forgets for a moment, and forgets that, okay, people have different opinions. I'm like, good for you. You're not scared. Why don't you just make fun of me and make me feel bad that I'm too much of a chicken? No, I know it's not about that. It's just for some reason, I imagine if you watch enough horror films, something like this doesn't scare you. But, I have, clowns are one of my fears. And I don't know if it's because of Stephen King, or if maybe it's, there's Are You Afraid of the Dark episode about a clown. And then there's another Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. Actually, there's two Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes about clown. And then there's one that's a clown-like character antagonist. But it's actually, he looks more like a jester. I get my G's and J's mixed up because the jester sounds like gesture if you say it, if you don't put emphasis on the fact that it's jester. If you just say jester. Although at that time I put emphasis, but it could sound like gesture, in my opinion. But anyway, that's the more immature part of me. That's a little like, yeah, that's good for you that you're not a chicken like me. But, and I don't always, because, and I admit, I don't get it when people say that, like, not just the whole movie's not scary, but when they say this version of Pennywise isn't scary. I don't get how you can not be creeped out by this, or at least creeped out by this version. Like, this one, yeah, it's, well, although I feel like, what is his name? Let me see if it says it. Tim Curry. Like, I feel like Tim Curry was pretty creepy in this one, too. But it's, it was made in 1990, so you can tell it's dated watching it now. In fact, I was just thinking how whenever I see a new version of something, like it's a remade version, or not necessarily remade, but a newer version of the same story, or expanded version of a classic story, then I kind of like that one better. Like, I was thinking, one of the examples, not just this, but also like with the whole Batman thing, and how I have all four of the original Batman movies, and maybe I'm partly influenced by people pointing out how cheesy those movies are, and most of the time I'm defending those movies. But then, because there's Gotham, the TV series, which is the origin story of the Batman villains, and Jim Gordon, I'm like, oh, I want to see those actors. I want that version of the characters. I'm, like, attached to that version, and so I can't, even though I have all 4 DVDs of the original movies that started in 1989, it's like, I'm not interested in those right now. I'm still not interested. Like, I don't want to watch them. I'd rather just stare at the actors who play them in the Gotham TV series. I'm attached to that version. And it's the same with this. Like, I do want to watch this so I can to be fair, and do a review and compare, or like a comparison video, and I feel like I should watch it. Although I remember I've watched the movie enough times that, I probably don't need to watch it, but I feel like, oh, it's only fair that I actually watch it after to do the comparison, and I rather watch this version than these actors doing with it. Although I still love Tim Curry and hold his place and hold him in my heart, so to speak. And the actors were good in this one. I definitely have more of an emotional attachment to this one. Okay, so enough rambling about that one. Let's get to the actual books. Okay, so, first, I am almost done with this one. I have 2 more chapters to go. I read a little bit more last night. I ended up staying up until 2 in the morning, because I had finished the movie, and then I finished watching chapter 2, probably like around 12:45. Maybe not that late, I don't remember. And of course, I was watching BookTube, so I stayed up and watched a couple of videos before I got in bed. And also, I started working on the puzzle that I got during the holidays. It's a Beauty and the Beast puzzle, and not with the Disney look though. It's not like the Kincaid puzzle, or it's actually a more like a different interpretation, like different colors and stuff of Beauty and the Beast. And so I've been working on that one. And with puzzles, if you really like them and don't get frustrated with them, because it's hard to put a puzzle together, if you're not used to it. I mean, there's the bigger, the easiest kind of puzzles, of course, are the kitty puzzles. But, and this one actually is one of the better ones, but I think it depends, as my mom was saying last night, it depends on the size, or how many pieces you have on how many pieces there are, and that determines the size of the individual pieces. So I have this is a 300 piece puzzle, so there's like the pieces are a little bit bigger, so it's real, and granted, I guess it's easy for me to say because although to be fair though, most of the puzzle putting together work is my parents, particularly my dad. But I do help every so often. I get the desire to help more. But that doesn't. Again, it's rarely. But either way, I'm probably more experienced at puzzles. So I was working on that last night, and then I was like, okay, I better get to bed. It's almost 1 a.m. So I got in bed. And I ended up reading until 2, and I got to finish. I am not quite done. I have 2 more chapters to go. And as I said before, this is just a fun series. It's not a literary masterpiece. It's not like Lord of the Rings or anything. It's not super well written, but it's not bad either. It's not badly written. Definitely not. This was actually started out as an ebook and it got really popular. I guess a lot of people were downloading on their e-readers, and a publisher made a note and decided to publish it into 3 volumes, and I finally am almost done with the first volume. And, okay, so, basically, in case you don't remember or haven't been watching my previous videos, this is basically about 2 guys, Royce and Hadrian Blackwater and Royce Melbourne, and they are hired thugs, essentially, hired thieves. And they get hired to steal a sword from the king of Melgar, but what ends up happening is they get framed for the murder of that said king, and end up thrown in prison for it. But then the king's daughter, Princess Arista, knows that these guys are innocent, that they were framed, so she arranges them to kidnap her brother and take them to a prison cell to release her mentor, the wizard Ezra Haddon. And it goes from there essentially, and then the second book picks up where the first book left off. And I guess I can't really tell you what the second book is about because then it could potentially spoil the first book. I mean, maybe it wouldn't, I don't know. Most likely it would. But, again, this is just a fun series. It's, and it can be a little tropey and cliche. But I love Royce and Hadrian. They're thieves with hearts of gold. Although I imagine that Royce though is the type of person who probably would love to leave you behind and not. He's more about himself, not in an evil way, but more of a survival of the fittest kind of way. And he doesn't really care about people all that much, but then being friends with Hadrian, who's all about, like, helping people, and he wants to always try to do the right thing, even though he's a thief. He just, and he's able to convince and persuade Royce to help, because they're friends, and Royce is like, I don't want you to I care about you, though, so I don't want you to get killed and get yourself killed or anything, because he actually does care about someone else. And I love these guys. I have a bit of a crush on Hadrian. As I've said in past videos, I have a theory about who he really is. And I'm pretty sure that's correct. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but there's evidence in the book that makes me think, yeah, that's my theory is going to be correct. And I'm not saying that as like I have a huge ego and be like, oh, I'm so smart. I mean, as in, I kind of cheated a little bit. I read the last page, and it kind of suggested something that it's like, at least there's a mystery to the character, in that we're getting closer to figuring out. And then, going by the title of the next volume, which, the next two volumes 2 and 3. It's only 3 volumes. And then actually, he has a prequel series, and I have at least 3 of the books in the series, but I just learned that there are more books in the series that I haven't got yet. And that actually was one of those situations where I got lucky at Gibbons, and they actually had all 3 books. I don't think at once. I don't think I got them all at once. I think I got 2 of them, and then the next day, or a couple days later, the 3rd book was there, or second, or whatever. Because it was, I don't think I bought them in order. Which it kind of makes me think of. I hadn't watched the Steve Donahue's video lately, and he's talking about he was doing one of his trips to the Brattle. He lives in Boston, and he was saying how a lot of times you'll get lucky, or you're probably gonna find like whole series, or they just might not be in the same place, or you'll find a lot of rare finds there. Like that's one of the better bookstores that has a better selection. One of the used bookstores. I'd love to go there someday. But I don't know if I'll ever have a reason to visit Boston or not. But, anyway, so I have 2 more. I'm almost done. It's going to be so weird because I've been with this book so long. Because books this size take me for quite a while. Even books this size take me quite a while to read. Even though it's big print, too. So it's like, every time, if I've been with a book or a character for so long, even if it's a character that's a bad guy, it's still like, oh, they're finally gone. Or I'm finally done. It's like it feels weird. Not like, oh my god, I'm done, finally. Or, oh my god, they're dead. It's more like, oh, I'm done. Like, it's kind of a resignation that I'm done. That I finished it. Or the bad guy's gone. And you keep thinking, am I really? Like, you keep thinking, is the bad guy really gone? Or, you can't believe you finished the book. It's just weird. It's not even an excited feeling or a triumphant feeling. I mean, it's triumphant, but also but at the moment when I first finish or the bad guy first dies, it's like, it's just weird. It feels a little empty. Not in a sad, depressing way, but just in a, like, you're so used to it that all of a sudden it's gone. You're missing something. It's like, you can't believe, it's like you're expecting not to be, like, you think you are, and then you expect, oh wait, there's more, or oh, he's coming back, or she's coming back. It's hard to explain because most people, I think, have the reaction, oh yes, the bad guy's gone, or oh yes, I'm finally finished. And yeah, I have those moments too, but there are just times when I feel weird about it. Especially when I've been with someone I'm so used to being in the middle of this book, or so used to that bad character. That character being with that character, like Voldemort or someone. So, I'm going to finish that today. And once I'm done with that, I can finally focus on the library book. But first, before I talk to you about the library books, I am also still reading Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. I imagine it's not everybody's kind of book. I mean, it's not the most thrilling book. It's more philosophical, more like about this guy's more of a slice of life kind of story, and I don't think everybody loves those slice of life stories, especially like unless it's like a contemporary, YA or something. Because I feel like YA slice of life stories go by a lot faster. Like, they don't take as long to read because, they know their audience is teenagers. And I feel like modern teens not always, not all of them are like this, of course. But I think a lot of modern teens, especially with the way a lot of my generation and the next generation we were raised on computers and internet where we get instant messages. Everything is instant. We can easily get information, and we have the TV, and everything is so like fast paced and again instant, and I think that's why a lot of YA authors, they write their books more. They don't always drag. They don't drag out like a lot of older books do. They, they're more like fast paced and more get straight to the point. I mean, maybe I'm wrong or whatever because I'm not a teenager anymore. I'm way past those years, but that's my theory on why the writing style of today's young adult books is a little more faster paced. But pace. I know I keep saying paced as in paste, but I mean pace as in pace, as in PACED. Okay, so enough about that. At least with this one now I can give a better description of what this is about. So our main character is our title character, Jude. And the book starts with when he is a little boy, and he's a little boy. He lives with his aunt. He loves reading and learning things, and he has a very good relationship with his teacher. But then his teacher is forced to leave and go to, I think it's Christminster. The next town, Christminster, or Minister, the next town over. Christminster, the next town over, and of course his town doesn't want anything to do with that town for some reason. And June makes it his personal goal when he's old enough, he's gonna go visit his teacher, especially because his aunt is like, no, that's not gonna happen. We're not going there. So as he gets older, he works on reading more and more books and studying languages and learning to read the Bible in those languages, because this is like early 1800s, I would say 1800s. Like it was published in 1895. I don't know if that's the actual publishing date, but a reviewer, there's a review from 1895. So I'm guessing that's pretty close to when it came out. So June, he studies hard. He continues to read. He prioritizes reading. But then he gets sidetracked by a beautiful girl, and he ends up accidentally courting her, not meaning to court her. And she tricks him to marrying her by telling him she's pregnant. So he ends up getting stuck, getting the job as the stonemason, and he has to stay there, but with his wife, who's a pig farmer. But then they both end up being dissatisfied in their marriage. They end up realizing they're so different from each other. He's more passive, more has a heart of gold, can't bring himself to slaughter an animal, even if they need it for food. And finally, she ends up deciding to leave him. And he finally gets the chance to go to Christminster. Where his cousin, and this is the woman that's talked about, that is mentioned in the back. I don't know what that means. Together they share a two-in-oneness rarely matched. Oh, maybe, so I guess they do eventually come together. But his cousin, Sue Brideshead, is there in the same town. And it's on the back of my edition that mentions Sue, so it's not really a spoiler. So again, this is the first novel, and it's probably not everybody's kind of book, but it's very interesting. Very interesting read. I can already tell you that I'm probably going to give it 4 stars on Goodreads for, although I debated between 3 and 4 stars, but I think I might give it 4 stars. Of course, I'm not even at the halfway point, so I guess that's not really fair of me to already determine what the rating is going to be on Goodreads. But it's very beautifully written. Thomas Hardy, I've heard, and just by reading this book, is very big on describing nature scenes. Um, and although June as a character, he does complain a lot about his life, and I get it, but I feel like you gotta make the best of your situation and stop looking the glass half empty. Of course, I guess it's kind of hard, and I understand the feeling of feeling stuck in the same place, a place you don't like. Like, I remember back when we were getting ready to move, and our house got rejected 3 times before we finally had someone buy the house. And I remember at that time feeling like I would be stuck in Waldorf forever, and I do not like Waldorf. Um, the only good thing about Waldorf was I was a lot closer to my sister, and then I still have friends back there. And then I actually do have family there too. Sadly, family I'm not super close with, but so but there the pro is other than besides the fact that I like this town a little bit better. I definitely like this town better. But that is, yeah, my sister's several hours away, but that just means we get to stay there we get to stay at her place for a few days. And before, it was more like we were staying there for only a few hours. And, granted, maybe it would have evened out because we wouldn't visit them as much as we could, but anyway, okay, back to this. I'm getting sidetracked. So yeah, Jude does complain a lot, and he also obsesses a bit. I feel like he's obsessing over it. I'm in the part right now. He's obsessing over him running into his cousin because for some reason his aunt is like, stay away from her. Don't be friends with her. And I don't know. I guess it has to do with the fact that, and this is also something that's mentioned in the back, so not much of a spoiler, that him and Sue were both married before. So maybe Zahn is like, no, you're gonna ruin her reputation if you be friends with her and get close with her. Because of course, back then it was like, if you're an unmarried woman that's friends with a man, then something's going on there. It's like people just assume that, something's going on between the two of you. Like you couldn't just be friends with a guy. Which I personally do not get, because if you're not, I feel like you're not gonna be attracted to every guy you're friends with. Like that you have a conversation with and spend time with. Whether you're married or not. You're not going to be attracted to that guy. You're not going to. But of course, this is a different time and a different way of thinking. And it's also, but despite that, the plot is kind of, it's just a slice of life story. Not a lot is going on in the plot. First, I'm more interested in this than Pamela. And second of all, it reads pretty fast too. It's not that long. Like, I've read quite a bit. Oh, don't want to bookmark. This is actually a bookmark that Larissa made for me. If you want to save the page. It's cute. I feel really bad though because that's the only thing I kept. Because the book that she gave me to go with it, I ended up not being interested. And plus, I should have mentioned to her that I'm not a big fan of that author anymore. It was James Patterson's Milk YA series, Witch and Wizard. Which it was kind of interesting, but it's just I wasn't. Like I said, I was kind of stopped liking that author, and I'm not a fan of his writing style. And plus, I've heard that essentially he doesn't write his book anymore. He's so popular and he pumps out books all the time, and that's only because he has a ghostwriter, which I feel like is a little annoying. I mean, it's one thing if you're not a writer yourself, if you're not an author yourself, then if you're an actor who wants to write a book, then fine. If you need to hire a ghostwriter, I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with if you're someone who is an actual author and decides, oh, I want to make more money and continue to publish books. I want to publish more and more books so I can make more money, so I'm going to hire a ghostwriter because I'm lazy. And I mean, you have Brandon Sanderson and Stephen King writing their own books, and they're pumping out books all the time. And I know, and I haven't even start. Like every time I attempt to start, I don't even get past a paragraph or two. So I understand how hard it is to write, but I imagine once you've written enough books, then it gets easier. The hard part maybe is coming up with the ideas. But if Stephen King and Brandon Sanderson can continuously pump out books, granted, some people have have said Stephen King's books aren't as good as they once were, or they're getting a little too political and stuff like that, which makes me apprehensive because I don't like it when authors get political. I mean, it's one thing if they disguise their political views a little bit, and maybe people could argue that Stephen King is doing that too, but like if Brandon Sanderson, he's put his political views in his books, but they're more like fantasy, and like he has a character who has those views or something, or a character that he kind of makes similar to a politician, then fine. That one, if I don't notice it, but if it's a book that you can notice that clearly they're trying to put their political views on you, then yeah, that's going to be kind of annoying, because what if I don't agree with your views? It's going to kind of be in the back of my mind. So I'm a little apprehensive about reading his new stuff. But I have bought a few of his new things because they were like the bookstores that I was at. It was like the only book that I was interested in, that I was somewhat interested in. So I have a problem where I can't go in the bookstore without buying. Like, I can't window shop, and much to my parents' annoyance. I can't, and it's a problem because then I end up getting a little carried away sometimes. Okay, I keep getting off topic here, but anyway, so it's definitely, if you already like Thomas Hardy, maybe you'll like this too. This is my first Thomas Hardy book. Having no problem. I'm liking it. Okay, now as far as okay, so I got my library books. Okay, I did start reading Middle Game the other day, where we are introduced to the character of Reed, Dr. Reed, and his crazy experiments on a child that has like the elements or something of language and mathematics or numbers or command of language and numbers. He's doing this experiment, and of course, this is one of those books where they criticize humanity and talk about how we suck and we all should go die and we're dumb and all that. And as a human, I can't help but sometimes get a little for a moment, I'm like, okay, we're not that bad. Granted, I can but then granted, I can kind of understand why, whether it's someone that, a human character that's a genius and is beyond humanity, supposedly, or an elf or a fairy or something, they think because we're not immortal, we don't have all this knowledge, we start wars and create pollution, destroy our own environment. And it makes me frustrated because it's not all of us are like that. But they have that whole exterminate mentality. And it's just really, why? We don't all deserve to be exterminated. We don't all deserve to be committed. We don't deserve to receive genocide or, but a lot of times these people are so focused and their minds are so expanded and they're so about superiority that they are not, they're not thinking about humanity anymore. They're thinking we're all dumb and dangerous. Of course, then you have the other side in in Theft of Swords. You have the humans saying that elves suck and that elves are evil and evil bastards and they deserve to be exterminated. And it's no, they're not. They're not. Yeah, they can be it all stems down to, I think, arrogance and being afraid of what you don't understand. But anyway, so I haven't read a lot of this. Like I said, we've been introduced to the character who's like talking about, you know, creating these little human children, and he wants to separate. His experiment is separating them physically and then bringing them back together, or something like that. I mean, I know because in the prologue, the two twins, Roger and Dodger, who have this power, are together again. Sorry, I'm kidding. I'm reading the back. This is one of those where it has the on the back, it has blurbs from other authors instead of a description. But then it does have the description in the back of that. So, which I like. It gets annoying when there's no book description, because I'm one of those people that, no, I don't just buy books because, oh, it's a pretty cover, I'm gonna buy it. No, I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of people who, you know, buy books just because the cover is aesthetically pleasing. I mean, you do what you want. But, I am one of those people who, like I said, as I was just going to say, I'm one of those people who likes to read the description of what the book is about, not just buy the book because I like the cover. Although this is a pretty cool cover. I really like, I don't know what it means, but by Kaz from, I can't remember her channel name. She's an Australian booktuber, I remember, and she talked, this is on her list of top favorite books of the year, or it might be top favorite books of the past decade, because there's both been the top books of the year, like the one I made, and then there's people who do the videos are the top books of the past decade, and she talked about this book, and she, I remember saying, now that she realized after finishing the book, she realized what this meant, what the cover meant, and was kind of grossed out by it. So I'm kind of curious what it is. But it looks like a candle. You know, not just because of the flames, of course, but the hand looks all waxy and stuff. So I don't know what that if that's someone's hand, maybe the hand got cut off or something. That's the only thing I think of that would be like, ew. Or that's really creepy. And anyway, what I was saying was that I like reading the description, and I don't like it when books just have this on the back most of the time, unless they have a description in the back flat. I don't like when books just have the blurb and they don't have the description of what it's about, because it's like, I want to read the summary of what the book is about. I don't care if other authors say, "Oh, this book is great. Oh, I love this book. She's a mistress in the craft and whatever." I don't care. I mean, I understand it's a marketing tool, but some of the marketing tools are like they come up with like this, or comparing it to another popular series. I mean, I get why they do it, but I'm like, I don't care. I just want to, if the book description sounds like something I would like, then that's when I'll get it. I'll either borrow it from the library or buy it, but not because, oh, this author recommends it, or it's like this series. And it's just, although you could argue that maybe it does in a small way influence me, because I hear all the time and I read these all the time. I do sometimes read these because but most of the time it's like, no, I don't care. The only reason I'm interested is if it's something that I'm interested in, like going by the description of what it's about. Okay, so really those are the only books I'm working on right now. I don't know if I'm going to keep my Lady Jane or not. I don't know if I mean, it's a fast read, but I just haven't, I've had it for a long time now, and I keep starting it, but I am not going back to it for a long time. I can't remember if it was Katie from Books and Things or another booktuber talked about doing, it might have been Katie, doing like a readathon where they, or maybe it was Kate Howe, one of them, or maybe someone completely different, talking about going through and reading books that they're not sure about, that they bought, like going through and just reading them, deciding if they're going to get rid of them or not. I want to say it was Katie from Books and Things who did that, who's going to do that. So I thought about that with, but then the problem is another booktuber that I like. See, this is where a booktube kind of influences me, because when a booktuber that I likes a book that I'm hesitant on, I'm thinking, dang it, maybe I should read. Now I'm going to feel like I have to read it. Even though we all have different opinions, and I'm not going to be exactly 100% like some of my favorite booktubers. Like I jokingly said to Jennifer Brooks, oh, we're bookish twins, but there are some books of hers that I like more so than books that she doesn't like, and vice versa. So we're not 100% twins, but then not all, twins don't always look 100% like each other. But yeah, I mean, I really shouldn't, just because a booktuber that I really like is like, oh, I'm gonna read this book because I think I'm gonna like this book, just because they do, even if they do like it or decide they're gonna read it, doesn't mean I need to do that. Plus, I don't have the space. Again, I think I mentioned this before, that I was hoping for a bookshelf for Christmas, but, like a smaller one, maybe to put over there. But I didn't get it, which it's not the end of the world I didn't. I mean, it's not the most important thing. So that's okay. And like Mom said, I have a lot of books I need to go through. So, and I don't even know, my mom might not even change her mind, is not going to take me. I'm hoping that she'll take me to the used bookstore. And so I can donate some books and then use that credit to buy more books. But I don't know if she might not let me, though. I mean, she might not want to do that because, like I said, I have a lot of books to read. So I'm making through slowly. Okay, so, but I do need to start reading. Once I finish Middle Game, I need to start reading Flashback. And then hopefully I will get Legacy soon. Although I was thinking about that, and when the library calls me to say that book has come back, I'm worried that, like, I won't be able to pick it up at the time because I'll be at work or something, or no one will be, but at least I can walk there. So hopefully the library will call me and let me know the book is back in when I'm home. And I'm guessing probably when they do finally call me, I might have to renew all these books. But this is book 7, Flashback, and then book 8 is Legacy. So I'll get that. I believe that she's publishing 9 books. So I will be able to get Legacy soon. In this one, from what I've read, the characters are going to the characters are gonna have to learn to fight. So because the elves are very peaceful, non-violent species, they're very passive. And sorry, I'm checking to see how many chapters are, because I was wondering, the last book was 91 chapters, and each book gets a little bit longer, so I'm checking to see how many chapters this one is. Oh, nope, it's only 52. So actually it's shorter than the last one. But it's 52 chapters this time. I was thinking it would be longer. And then I went ahead and got a Ruth Ware book, because my sister got me, as you guys saw if you watched my Christmas haul, my sister got me a Ruth Ware book what is it? The Lion Game. So I decided to get see if there was any Ruthware at the library, because this library doesn't always have everything that I want to get from the library. So they had two. They actually had the Lion Game there, but I already have that. They also had this one, the Woman in Cabin 10, which I think this takes place on a cruise. And it got the magazine O gave it, and Reese Witherspoon, of course. Oh, and the guy that has written with Stephen King a few times. So I'm a little apprehensive about thrillers or women like these thrillers, because I'm worried. I don't know if I'll be. I mean, although I have liked genres that I have read books from genres that do feel a little repetitive. That's what I'm worried about. That I would, But I was somewhat interested in Big Little Lies, but it was just such a chunky book that I was like, I don't want to. At that time, I was thinking, okay, I don't want to spend so much time on this book, especially in a genre that I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. I mean, maybe I could have finished it. I don't know. It was taking that one is a chunky book, even if there's short chapters, and maybe I would have got through it pretty quickly, but it was still, I was very impatient. And there were books from my own library that I would rather read over that one. But, yeah, so I'm gonna try it. And maybe one day if I ever see it in a Dark Wood, I might actually buy that, because I don't know if I got it from the library, or I think I bought it. Or I kept I kept picking it up at Givens, but I never bought it. Yeah, I think that was the case. I think it's one of these things where I kept picking up and looking at it and reading it and thinking, oh, I'm kind of interested. So maybe now I might one day buy it. And who knows, maybe thrillers will become one of my new favorite genres. So I gotta read this one. So that's all that's going on in my reading, right now. So, like I said, I'm hoping today we'll go check out that used bookstore again. Like I said, my mom's a little hesitant because she doesn't want me to buy more books. But I say it's better to be, first of all, those will be free, essentially free, because, I mean, yeah, I have to give them books, and then they'll let me, the money the physical money I would have got from those books, I can use that to, so I won't actually get money, but I can, instead of getting money, I can just buy more books. This is something that Elliot Brooks and her husband do. They will donate books to used bookstores in their town, and then they will get books. They will buy books after they've so I'm hoping, so essentially they're free, so it's better than spending your money, your actual money, but still my mom, but I'm hoping she'll, anyway, so, plus it's also an excuse for me to get out. Like, the only time I get out is to go to work, and that's not fun. Although I don't mind my job. I mean, I could have a worse job. I see, like, even though sometimes I still kind of complain about my job, I still actually like my job. I mean, it's, yeah, it's kind of repetitive and boring, but I like the people I work with, and I like that part of my job is to go outside and get the carts, even though that can be really challenging for me, like, especially because people will leave their carts in their parking spots. It drives me crazy, because it's like, why can't you just put it in the corral at least? I'm not asking you to bring it all the way back up to the store. I'm just asking you to put it in the corral. But no, people leave it in the parking lot. Now, I will give credit to people, even though this is annoying too, and this still means I have to go fetch the carts. At least there will be people that will put them on the medium. They won't just leave them in the parking spot. So it's easier to get them, so it will get them out of the way, but then it means I have to take them off the medium, which can be a challenge, can be physically hard, a little hard, like a bit of a struggle. And other than that, so yeah, despite that, I still, at least it means I get to get outside, and I have to keep moving the whole time, so it's easier for me to, stay alert and focused, and, well, maybe not always alert, but it's something that I have to keep going, so it's, like, not like with the desk job where I was working, did those 2 internships, where, because, I was in DC and Virginia, so I had to get up early, and, before the sun rose, and it was, it wouldn't be too, even though I had a cup of coffee, it was still easy for me to fall asleep, because I was just an intern, so I wasn't doing a lot, unless they gave me something to do. In this job, I'm actually active all the time. I'm even if there are periods, there's lulls, and customers won't be coming to the cash registers, there's still, most of the time I'm still very active. I'm still constantly doing something. I'm either putting stuff in the freezer section, the cold, or I'm bagging someone's groceries, or I have to make sure I'm, like, walking around all the cash registers and, making sure there's not someone who needs me to bag for them. And if not, there's a few hours during my shift where I gotta go outside and constantly be bringing the carts in. I mean, and I always make jokes with customers and talking about how it will never end, and I'm, like, joking and saying, well, the only way it's gonna end is if you guys stop using carts, and they're like, well, that's never gonna happen, and it's like, and one guy was saying, well, then you're gonna be out of the job, and there was an incident yesterday where I tried to smile and make like I was playing with the customer, joking with him too. But he was like, "Oh, can you get me because you have the option of paper or plastic?" And they're like, "Oh, well, can you use newspaper or styrofoam?" And I tried to joke with them, but then I was like, because I needed to know, like, okay, seriously, what do you want, paper or plastic? And he kind of just looked at me and, and I tried to, like, make it seem like I was kind of still being playful with him, but then I worried that he was, but then I kept thinking, but then I thought afterwards, oh, what if he thought got the impression of, oh, you're done joking now, are you? You're not gonna, like, you're annoyed with me. I'm always worried that every so often, like, if I try let slip my irritation at people, then I'm always worried they're going to report to my boss and my job is going to be on the line. So I always try to be friendly and smile, and even if I'm annoyed, and always make sure that if I'm so irritated when I'm getting the carts and people being what I consider lazy, then I try to wait until no one's around, and then I will roll my eyes or something. Because I don't want to lose my job, even if I'm annoyed by people. So I always try to be friendly with customers, even if I'm annoyed. It's just like Terry. I remember Terry talking about, and I think I mentioned this before. She talked about how, like, at Disney, they'll say, kind of as a way to flip someone off if they're annoyed by a customer, they'll be like, "Have a nice day." I think that's their code for, I'm annoyed by you, but I'm still gonna be friendly towards you and kill you with kindness. Well, anyway, so that's all I'm gonna say on updates. And if you guys would love to share what you're currently reading, feel free to tell me in the comments below what you're currently reading. And maybe we can talk about if it's a book I've read, or if it's a book I'm interested in, or even if it's not a book that I'm familiar with, then maybe you can tell me about the book if you want to. I hope you are enjoying your reading. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you have not already. And I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye!